Alright, imagine this. You're sitting in a classroom, or maybe scrolling online, and someone drops the line. You know, humans only use 10% of their brains. It's one of those phrases that sounds profound. Like there's some hidden genius locked away, waiting to be unlocked with a special meditation technique, brain pill, or ancient secret. It's a phrase that's launched motivational speeches, sci-fi plots, and neurohype YouTube channels. But here's the thing. Is it actually true? What would it even mean to use 10% of our brain? And if it's not true, why has this idea stuck around for so long? Today, we're going deep into the folds of neuroscience, busting myths, and asking the real question. How much of our brain do we actually use? And what might we be missing? Where did the 10% myth come from? Let's start with the origin of the myth. Like many great urban legends, this one's roots are fuzzy. There are a few possible culprits. In the 1890s, psychologist William James famously said, "We are making use of only a small part of our possible mental and physical resources." Which wasn't wrong, but he didn't say 10%, and he didn't mean it literally. Later, in the 1930s or 40s, Albert Einstein was rumored to have said we use just 10% of our brains. But there's no record of him ever saying that. Total fiction. Then came popular psychology books in the mid-20th century, repeating the claim to make brain training sound revolutionary. And once the media picked it up, especially Hollywood, it became unstoppable. Movies like Lucy and Limitless built entire plots around the idea that unlocking the other 90% of our brain would give us superpowers. But here's what science actually says. Modern brain scans say otherwise. Thanks to fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, and PET scans, scientists can now watch the brain in action, in real time. And guess what? We use 100% of our brain. Just not all at once. Different regions activate for different tasks. Reading this video description? Your occipital lobe is processing visual input. Your prefrontal cortex is handling focus and comprehension. Your motor cortex might activate if you're typing a comment. Even when you're asleep, your brain is far from quiet. Your hippocampus is consolidating memories. Your brainstem is regulating breathing and heartbeat. Your default mode network is wandering, dreaming, solving problems subconsciously. The brain is always on. There is no massive reserve of unused gray matter. In fact, damage to any part of the brain, no matter how small, usually results in noticeable impairments. If 90% of the brain were unnecessary, brain injuries would be far less devastating. So why does the myth persist? Even though neuroscience disproved the 10% idea decades ago, it just won't die. Why? Because it's motivationally irresistible. The idea that we have hidden potential feels good. It suggests we're capable of so much more if we just tap into it. It sells courses, coaching, supplements, even conspiracy theories. And here's the trick. While the specific number is wrong, the spirit of the idea has some truth. We often don't use our full cognitive potential, but that's about training, focus, and mindset, not unlocking unused brain regions. So yes, you probably could do more. But not because you're using 10% of your brain. It's because you might be using 100% inefficiently. How the brain really works. Your brain has about 86 billion neurons, each connecting to thousands of others. That's more connections than there are stars in the Milky Way. And every time you learn something, a new connection forms, or an old one strengthens. Think of it like a city. Highways, neural pathways, develop with repeated practice. Unused roads deteriorate. Neighborhoods, regions, light up depending on what you're doing. Math, music, movement, memory. We're not underusing our brains. We're using them based on how we live, learn, and adapt. Want to change your brain? Change what you do with it. Repetition, challenge, novelty, that's how you grow. This is called neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire itself at any age. So the real superpower? Not accessing unused brain matter, but training your existing brain to get better. Unlocking more without the myth. Now, let's say you do want to reach your mental peak. Here are things backed by actual science, not myths. Deep focus practice. Multitasking wrecks productivity. Focused work strengthens the brain's ability to hold complex thoughts. Sleep, crucial for memory consolidation, problem solving, and mental health. Sleep is when the brain does its deep cleaning. Physical movement, exercise boosts BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which literally helps your brain grow. Novelty. Trying new things activates new regions and helps your brain stay plastic. Learn an instrument, a language, a new sport. Mindfulness. Meditation strengthens the prefrontal cortex and reduces activity in the amygdala, improving emotional regulation. No secret pills. No need to access a hidden 90%. Just consistent, well-rounded activity. A few famous examples. Let's take a look at some real people who pushed their mental limits. Nikola Tesla claimed he could visualize entire inventions before ever building them. He trained deep visualization and spatial memory. Kim Peek, the inspiration for Rain Man, had savant syndrome and could memorize thousands of books, but also had severe impairments. Mozart composed symphonies at age 5, but it wasn't magic. His dad was a composer, and he practiced constantly. These weren't people who unlocked more of their brain. They were people who trained it intensely, sometimes with genetic quirks, but always with hard work. So, what's our full brain potential? Here's the better question. Not how much of the brain do we use, but how well do we use it? Do we use it to solve real problems? Create beautiful things? Understand each other better? Are we training it? Or just letting it scroll? Are we stretching it? Or just surviving? The brain is not a light switch, it's a muscle. The more you engage it, the more powerful it becomes. The cost of believing the myth. One final thought. Believing we only use 10% of our brain can actually be dangerous. It leads to pseudoscience, brain pills, magnetic headbands, false promises. It supports quick fix thinking instead of effort and habit. It downplays real science in favor of magic-sounding fluff. The truth? You already have the full brain. Now the question is, what will you do with it? Final thoughts. So, do we only use 10% of our brain? Not even close. We use all of it, just not at once, and not always well. Every thought, movement, emotion, and memory lights up different regions. The real untapped potential isn't in dormant brain matter. It's in untrained habits, unpracticed skills, and untapped focus. Your brain is alive. Electric. Changing every day. You don't need a superpower. You are the superpower. So use it. Read more. Think deeper. Be curious. Challenge yourself. Rest when needed. And above all, don't believe everything you hear, unless science backs it up. If this myth-busting brain dive lit up some neurons for you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's still quoting the 10% line. And here's our comment question for today. What's one skill or idea you trained your brain on, if you knew it would grow stronger with effort? Let's hear it below. Because as far as your brain is concerned, it's always day one. Until next time, stay curious, and stay smart.